Have you thought about dying? I mean, really thought about it? Being a doctor, I had experienced death and dying a lot in my patients. And I think I knew that we were all going to die someday, but in my mind, I felt like I was invincible, like I was going to live forever. I mean, surely that bus wasn't going to hit me. Disaster happens to other people, right? I mean, I was even worried that I was going to outlive all of my loved ones until I was 110 and be all alone. All of that changed one day in June of 2016 when I received my cancer diagnosis. My heart dropped and it was like I was in a nightmare, and I thought that I was just going to wake up and everything was going to be fine again. And so suddenly death was not so far away. It was up close and personal, and it hit me in the face, and I had to be forced to face my mortality. In this video, I'm going to share my heart with you guys. I'm going to talk about how cancer led to my rebirth and how I discovered what truly living really is. So if you've stumbled on this video, I hope that it blesses you. I hope that you've gained a new perspective, some hope, and some inspiration to get through whatever challenges that you're going through. So if you've been following my story, welcome back. And if you're new here, my name is Nee, and I have stage 4 sarcoma that I've been living with since 2016. Being diagnosed with cancer turned my life upside down. I was forced to question everything. What did I want to do differently? What is my purpose here? Why did I want to live, and how did I want to live? What did I want to accomplish before I die? What happens after death? I mean, we're all confronted with these questions at some point in our lives, but getting diagnosed with a terminal illness really speeds up the process. So the first thing that I realized was that I needed to slow way down. I just finished my 3 years of family medicine residency, and I was an attending physician and working in an urgent care. We had just got married just 2 months before. We planned on making as much money as possible and to start a family right away. So that was my plan, and I was just 30 years old. I had to work so hard to get there. My entire 20s was spent in school, and it took up a lot of time, but I didn't want to miss out on anything, so I was this busybody. I mean, I packed my schedule with things to do and people to see and goals to achieve, and I was just like your definition of an overachiever. I would just pride myself on sleeping only a few hours at night. I was a workaholic. I said yes to everything, and I just never let myself rest. I had my whole life planned out, and it was like this constant race, and I expected to just win everything and achieve everything that I wanted. I don't think that I knew how stressed I was and how much I ignored my body and how much I kept pushing it to the limit. It was like trying to operate a car without gas. So I think I just had this tendency to rush through life, and I never gave it a second thought until I got cancer. And that's when it hit me. What was the point of packing all these things into my schedule when I wasn't even present? When it was just this box to check off, and at some point I felt like I was just taking up space and moving through time without any intention, aimlessly. Time is our greatest currency. The only thing we have is time. And after my cancer diagnosis, I knew that I had to change my priority. I knew that I had a limited time to live. But that time could be cut even shorter, and I needed to spend it more wisely. If I died, could I take fame and fortune, success, and material possessions with me to my grave? I don't think so. Those things would just be meaningless. When I was thinking about all this, a scripture comes to mind, and I'm going to read it to you guys. So in Psalm 39, it says, "Lord, make me know my end, and what is the measure of my days, that I may know how frail I am. Indeed, you have made my days as handbreadths, and my age is as nothing before you. Certainly, every man at his best state is but vapor. Surely, every man walks about like a shadow. Surely, they busy themselves in vain. He heaps up riches and does not know who will gather them. And now, Lord, what do I wait for? My hope is in you." If God has numbered my days, I have to accept that I have to fix my eyes on him and live according to His purpose and His plan for me, whatever that may be. On my deathbed, I would imagine that I would want to reflect back on the experiences and the special moments in my life and the impact that I made on others. That's what would make me proud. Now, the other thing that took me a long time to accept is that I'm never going to be able to stop suffering in life. In the first few years after my diagnosis, I was chasing happiness. I wanted to find a way to stop struggling and to be happy all the time. I mean, isn't that what every motivational speech that people will give with cancer? That cancer changed their lives and that they can now just live every moment as if it was their last, that they can embrace the present moment, not worry about the future or dwell in the past. I mean, while this is somewhat true, I don't think it's a reality for most of us, and it definitely wasn't the reality for me. It's hard to focus on the present moment all the time when life just goes on without you, and when the battle is long and drawn out. I mean, you forget. So it took me years to realize that what it's really about is owning the fact that we have problems, and life is how well you can actually find solutions to those problems. I mean, we're built to climb mountains, and we always want to climb to get to the top, and then once we get to the top and we achieve that goal, then we want to climb a higher mountain, and that's really what brings us joy and satisfaction. And it's just human nature to want to do that. And so if there's no challenges in life, if there's no mountain to climb, if there's no obstacle to overcome, then we don't have any meaning left in our lives. So the other Bible verse that comes to mind is Ecclesiastes 3:12, and it says, "I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is the gift of God." So there's two parts to that. One is to be happy and do good while we live, and then the other is to find satisfaction in our toil. So what does it mean to toil? It means working hard, to labor, to put in effort. And it says that it's the gift of God. So that means that hard work and suffering is really a gift. So we can see that this is really what life is about. And we live in this world and there's no escape from it. So the sooner that we can realize that and accept it and not resist it, the more happy we can be and the more joy we can find in our suffering. So initially, I went through this whole spiritual journey. I searched for all of the things that I could do to escape pain. I thought about all the things I could do to reach enlightenment. And that included meditation for hours, mindfulness practices, exercises like yoga, connecting with Mother Nature, with the earth. It included reading self-help books and doing affirmations and discovering my limiting beliefs and how I could change them to heal my inner child, to heal my trauma and wounds. So I don't regret doing those things, and I do think that they all played a big part in my healing, and I learned a lot about myself along the way. But at some point it just felt like it was so much work. Like I became overwhelmed, and I realized that I had, again, another big to-do list every day that I had to get through. Like I had to check off these boxes, and it took me hours, and it just consumed my life to do all of these things. So I found myself going down the wrong path, and it just didn't feel right anymore. So one day I broke down and I got on my knees and I called out to God. I asked Him to reveal Himself. I wanted to know the true God, and I wanted to know what I was supposed to do. I wanted Him to lead me down the right path where I could just make this suffering a little bit more bearable. And that was when He did reveal Himself to me, and I can talk about this in another video where I have my full testimony. So if you guys are interested, leave a comment below and let me know. But to make a long story short, that was the day that I gave my heart to Jesus. It was like all this weight was lifted off of me, and I was finally able to give all my burdens to God. I no longer had to keep running on that hamster wheel, and I could just relax and let go of control. I could put my faith and hope in Him. and it felt so good, but somehow I just continued to struggle. I continued to feel depressed and anxious. And on top of that, I stopped doing all of those self-improvement things that I was doing. And as a result, the cancer grew and it progressed. And I got into this really dark space where I questioned why God would let me go through this when I had given him my heart, when I was walking on the right path and doing everything that I was supposed to. And I doubted that maybe I was on the right path and this is the wrong one. So it took me a long time to go back and forth and a lot of wrestling with myself until I realized that he didn't want me to just have faith without action. James 2:20 says that faith without works is dead. I not only have to trust in him, I also have to be transformed so that I can make new and different choices. I realized that I still needed to take action to help myself, but the only difference is that my strength all comes from him, that I could do nothing without him. John 15:4-5 says, I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bear much fruit, for without me you can do nothing. So I had to surrender and let go of the control once I understood that everything comes from God. I mean, before the cancer, I was very risk averse. I meticulously planned out the details of my life so that I was making sure that I was operating in the safe zone. It was easier for me to stick with what I knew and be miserable than to step into the unknown and try something new to improve my life and my circumstances. I didn't want to take the risk at all. And I didn't know that I was my own prisoner living in this way, because all of the decisions that I made up to this point was from a posture of fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of being judged, fear of rejection, fear of not being loved and accepted. And I think the biggest fear of all for me was not having a purpose or a direction in my life. So in my quest to confront my fears and to find freedom and purpose, I had to overcome myself. I had to let go of all the lies I told myself. I had to rewrite the narrative and reprogram myself. I had to peel back the layers to get to the core of me, of my authentic self, of me that's made in the image of God. And that's no easy task, and I'm still working on it every day, and I know that I'll be working on it for the rest of my life. But I guess that's what life is about. And what I've gone through so far, what I can say is that it's been a beautiful journey. Cancer gave me the courage to step outside of my comfort zone and to explore what I truly wanted. It helped me find the purpose in my pain, and I could see that my life experience is unique only to me, and there's only one of me. And I no longer wanted to live a life without pain and suffering, because I know that's impossible. I just wanted to learn how to suffer well, how to find the light in the darkness, how to bear the cross and transcend pain and be transformed by it. And maybe I could help others do the same. And I really think that that's what God wants for me. So when we're faced with challenges, either we could be a victim of it and we can let it define us and say that's who we are, or we can use the challenge as something to overcome and a lesson to learn from. There's always something to learn from, and God doesn't waste anything. So whenever you're going through dark times, just remember that life is not about not having pain and suffering. That's all there is in life, but you just have to find the light in the darkness and find a reason for why it's happening to you. And I think that when you are in that state of gratitude, of appreciating everything you have, even if it's not the best, because things could always be a lot worse. And I think when we find those little golden nuggets, it really, really helps to get us through life in a much easier way, with less resistance and with more surrender. And we can always shift our perspective to see the good that's in our pain. And I think that's a lesson for all of us. And I think for me, this is what gets me through the days. This is what gets me through my cancer journey and all of the suffering that I have to endure, because I know that there's a reason for my suffering. And when I do that, and when I have a purpose to that, it makes it so much easier. So thank you all for listening. If you made it this far, I really just wanted to share all this with you, and I'm so glad that you decided to stay and listen to this video. Again, I really hope that it blesses you, and I hope that you found this helpful and to listen to it when you're feeling down. So thank you again for listening, okay? I will see you in the next video, okay?